أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Welcome, dear nurturers, whether you're mothers, aunties, teachers, whatever you're doing, you are nurturing somebody and taking a hand, opening a mind, and touching a heart. And we complete each other's roles. That's what we do as women. What we're doing here is the Iqra principle, which is experiencing the Quran in the an. In the an means in the now. Gathering, carrying, deliberating, witnessing, timing, then serving and sharing, which is the definition of the root verb of Iqra. So that was what our Prophet, peace upon him, was commanded, and that's what we are attempting to do here, inshallah. Starting from male and female was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation of us. We have indeed created you all from male and female and rendered you peoples and tribes. Why? So that you may ta'arafu, recognize, acknowledge, and find comfort in one another. That's the meaning of arafa in the Arabic language. It does not mean just to know. It means to recognize, acknowledge, and find comfort. Subhanallah. So that's why it's so important to know what the Arabic language is saying. Now we should understand that Ar-Rahman, Allah, who is Ar-Rahman, who is the most compassionate creator, He awsa bil-Rahim. He told us to take care of the Rahim. Why? Why? Ummak thumma ummak thumma ummak thumma. Why? Ulul Arham. Even when He talks about our kindred, our next of kin, He does not call them Ulul Qurba. Ulul Qurba are the next of kin. He calls them Ulul Arham, meaning the next of wombs. He is talking about the womb, the Rahim. The word Rahma comes from the word womb. The word Rahman even is affiliated, or the other way around, the word Rahim affiliated to Rahman. There is something going on there which we should understand. And the word Mama, what's about the word Mama? The most beautiful word on earth, the most beautiful sound a child can make. And we are lucky if we can make it until our old age. And that's why I was late today taking care of my mama. A special day for her, and I hope I made it special. Mama, she is our first love, our first teacher. Mothers teach us shukar. Shukar is how to be productive, how to take little and make the most out of it, how to enhance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ash-shakur, not about thanks, not about gratitude, much more. It's about appreciation, as in the opposite of depreciation. So mothers teach us shukr. Mothers teach us bir. What is bir? Bir is how to be authentic to your designation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls the rahim something which has what? Secure stability. Did we not create you all from still despised fluid? Then we had it settled in secure stability. أَلَمْ نَخْلُقكُم مِّن مَّاءٍ مَّهِينٍ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ فِي قَرَارٍ مَّكِينٍ. That's the qarar makin. That's your rahim. Your rahim, my rahim, every woman's rahim, and mother's rahim mostly are the source of humanity's marhama. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to what? Tawasaw bil-sabri wa tawasaw bil-marhama. Enjoin upon one another patient perseverance and enjoined upon one another an environment of compassion. Marhama is not just rahma. Marhama is an environment of rahma. Like when you say, for example, kitab is a book, maktaba is the environment or this whole situation which is full of kutub. So when you say marhama, it is a situation, an environment full of rahma. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants us natawasa بالصبر and natawasa to enjoin upon one another, an environment of marhama, to create an environment of marhama, even if we are men who will not naturally possess a rahim, but we understand marhama and we will be enjoining upon one another marhama. It's all from the rahim, the source of marhama. And there's no such thing as rank between male and female. There is action. So when we use the word daraja in Arabic or darajat, we don't mean rank, even though a daraja in our building or in our home is a step. We say, طلع درجة نزل درجة, we're talking about steps. And that's why we think that it's ranks. But actually in Arabic, it's not like that. So relationships are not about rank or status. They are about active function. هو الذي جعلكم خلائف الأرض ورفع بعضكم فوق بعض درجات. We were raised above each other, not in ranks, in locomotion, in motion. ليبلوكم فيما آتاكم, so that Allah will assess us by what we had been given. In Surah 43, Ayah 32, it says, رفعنا بعضهم فوق بعض درجات ليتخذ بعضهم بعضا سخرية, that we were raised to different walks of life. So what's that? It's not about, daraja is not about a rank. Daraja is about a walk of life. Something where you are actually walking to do. You're actually being motivated to do. It's about motivation and walking to do. So why? يتخذ, what some of you of the other, you would take what? You would take one another in service. Sukhriya, taskhir. You would be given and taking each other in service. That's why we say, رَبَّنَا سَخِّرْنَا. سَخِّرْنَا, meaning put us to work by what you want us to do. Don't let ad-dunya to take us in service. You take us in service, right? So when we look at our lexicon, we find Ibn Faris, the lexicon which I use mostly, he died in 1004. And of course, Ibn Mandur in 1232, they give you examples about the word daraja. Ibn Faris says it is about something passing by, about us moving. And he gives the example of a little boy who starts to yadruj, move about independently. So this little boy over here, yadruju. Yadruju meaning he's moving about independently. Ibn Mandur gives us the daraj of the building, which are tiers above each other, and says that daraja is the movement of a child or an elderly person, yadruju fahuwa darij. And even in a certain context, if it does mean stand, it's still a standing or a station. If you want to call it a station, a higher station, it is one which was arrived at through effort. And you know what? In Arabic, if you speak Arabic, you would know that we say something is darij, moda, like it's the fashion, it is darij. What do we mean? That now it is in motion, it is what is fashionable right now. Maybe it wasn't yesterday, maybe it won't be tomorrow, but today it is darij. So it's about motion. A mother's daraja now is in the fact that she performs, well, I should say is partly in the fact, because a mother's daraja, Allahu a'lam how high it is, but it is partly in the fact that she performs her shukr instinctively. They don't have to be told to perform their shukr. That is why their daraja, that's one reason why their daraja is so high with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So because shukr is about having a will and striving. Will is crucial, but a will do nothing on its own without you actually striving. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Isra 17:19, وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا. So you have to will the hereafter and strive for it in its due of striving, what it deserves of striving. So it's actually your shukr you see, has to do with both the will to do it and then the striving of it. So ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيها فأولئك وهو مؤمن. Of course, you have to be, of course, a mu'min, somebody who has faith and trust. After that, كان سعيهم مشكورا. Your sa'i will be mashkur, will be appreciated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will enhance it for you and appreciate it. You give him something, he will give you 10-fold to 100-fold to 1,000-fold to however he wants. That's the shukr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is magnified and enhanced manyfold. So you do something little and it enhances and appreciates, as in the opposite of depreciates. So a mother does that. She does shukr without even thinking towards her children. She would do shukr, right? She makes everything enhance for her children. Subhanak ya Rab. May Allah bless all mothers and have rahma upon all mothers. Ya Rabbi, irhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. So shukr employs all your senses. And God has brought you out of your mother's bellies knowing nothing. And he rendered for you hearing and sight and perception so that you might be appreciative or productive. Allahu akhrajakum min butuni ummahatikum la ta'lamuna shay'an, right? Nothing, you know nothing. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So your af'idah is your heart, but not your heart as the organ. It's your heart with perception in it. It's the link between your heart and brain, which is what we're also going to talk about today. Shukr is when something grows and bears fruit. That's what we do when we are providing for our dependents. Growth, all the while we are appreciating our birth parents. وصينا الإنسان بوالديه حملته أمه وهنا على وهن. حملته أمه وهنا على وهن. His mother bore him in burdensome frailty upon burdensome frailty. وفصاله في عامين أن اشكر لي ولوالديك إلي المصير. His weaning was in 2 years. Therefore, perform shukr to me and to your parent. To me is the destination. So we have here the word walidayk. Now, as it was, subhanallah, as it was explained, the Quran says often walidain, and then it also says abawain. What's the difference? The walidain refers to the walida, to the mother. Even when it says al-walid, meaning the father, it says that I think only once in the Quran. Even if it says that, it says al-mawludi lahu also once. So what is the meaning of walid? Walid is somebody who gave birth. A male who gave birth, that doesn't work, you see. So when it says walidain, it is actually talking about the parents giving priority to the mother. When it talks about abawain, it's talking about the parents giving priority to the father. And there's a little bit which I'm going to tell you about today, which is going to, I couldn't say, I mean, there's not enough time to say what I wanted to say. So I had to go quite fast. So you see, they together caused this child to grow and bear fruit. And this is the shukr. Shkur li wali walidayka ilayya al-masir. To me is the destination. So you do the shukr to your walidain, but your mother first, and second and third. So what is shukr? As we said, it's accepting little while making the most of it until it achieves abundance. A she-camel or a tree, which is shakur, has with little sustenance produced much. And there are examples of that in the Quran. There's shukr and there's shukran. The opposite of it is kufr and kufran. Again, what's the difference? Shukran is in the an. Kufran is in the an. Appreciation versus depreciation, both of them in the an, once you add the an to the end of the word. Subhanallah. So shukr is about hidden potential, which yashkur and grows and then realizes its potential. Who does that to you? Who does that to you but your mother? And maybe a teacher who mothers you and nurtures you. Could be a man, could be a woman. وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you do shukr, I will increase for you. So actually, we have to do shukr to get our potential and realize it. Heaven lies beneath a mother's feet. It is true. It's related from Talha ibn Muawiyah that he came to the Prophet, peace upon him, and said, "Oh, Messenger of God, I want to perform jihad in a way of Allah, jihad fi sabilillah." And the Prophet, peace upon him, said, "Is your mother alive?" He said, "Yes." And the Prophet said, "Cling to her feet, because paradise is there." A mother's daraja is also in the fact that she performs bir naturally. So we said she performed shukr naturally and she performs bir naturally. What is bir? Bir is being authentic to your designation, forthcoming, advancing, proceeding ahead, like a fast steed, true to its name. فالبر هو الصدق في الشيء. فالجواد المبر هو ضد الجواد البطيء. So the jawad shows you his truth of being a steed by what? By advancing, proceeding, and going ahead and running fast. So a mother performs her bir and does her bir instinctively and naturally. Zayn al-Abidin was the great-grandson of the Prophet, peace upon him. And he was a renowned scholar, of course. He used to treat his mother with so much kindness and love, as we see in the following hadith. Once he was asked, "You are the kindest person to your mother, yet we have never seen you eat with her from the same dish." You know how people eat together? They have never seen him put his hand into the dish where his mother was putting her hand. And they said, "Why?" He said, "I fear that my hand would take what her eyes have already seen in the dish. And then I would be going against her wishes, because she may have desired something from the dish, let's say a piece of meat or some nuts or whatever that was there on that dish. He didn't want to be the one to take it." Mothers. The walidain. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says walidain. In many ayahs he mentions walidain. It is the birthing parents, meaning it is the mother who gave you birth and the father. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here in this ayah. وَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ, if you see. And here وَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا is the one I was going to talk about. And other ayahs here in which he talks about والديه. Many ayahs. أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Especially in old age, إِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبَرِ. In old age, when they attain kibar and they are with you, عِنْدَك. So be careful. It's really important that the parents have their children near them when they are in their old age. فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. Even you cannot say the word uff to them. Uff is the least exasperation that you can show. Do not show it to your parents. It is forbidden by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abawain are the rearing parents. So we have other ayahs in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about abawain. Now the word abu or abawa, it's the verb يدل على التربية والغدو. أبوت الشيء أبوه أي غدوته. It has to do with what? It has to do with time spent rearing. Now this ayah, it's in Surah Yusuf. And فَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُفَ آوَى إِلَيْهِ أَبَوَيْهِ. So when they came to Yusuf, he brought to himself his parents. Now, the commentators said, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here mention Abaway and did not mention Waliday? As we said, Walidain is precedence to the mother. Abawain is precedence. It's parents. It's still parents, but it's precedence to the father and to the fact that those who reared him. Tarbiyah. But here, why did he not say Walidain? Why did he say Abawain? There are many different interpretations to why that was happening. Maybe she was not his mother. Maybe it's just that the father was his father and the woman was not his mother. And then we have, of course, this ayah, this beautiful ayah, Surah An-Nahl 16:72, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created from amongst yourselves, your mates, and he had rendered from your mates banina wa hafada. Now, the interesting thing is not awlad. Allah did not say awlad. He said banin wa hafada. Now, awlad means the children you gave birth to. But here he says banin. Banin and banoon are the children you raised. Look at this picture here. I tried to show you the meaning of banin and banoon. It is from the root verb bana, and it's about bana, meaning to raise and erect and build and bring up something. So subhanallah, when Allah says banoon and banin, he's talking about rearing and bringing up the children that were raised, that you brought up, that you've spent your life's energy, your life's resources raising. These are your banin. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us here in this surah 1672, he is giving us this as the bounty that he gave us from our nafs. He gave us our mates, and from our mates, he gave us our banin, our banoon, our children whom we raised. Subhanallah. That's Allah's bounty that he gave us. And from our banin, the ones whom we raised, he gave us our hafada. And then he says, رَزَقَكُم مِّنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ. I mean, so that is al-azwaj, and then al-banin, and then al-hafada. What are hafada? This is very interesting because hafada comes from the root verb hafada, which is yahfid. What's the meaning of yahfid? There's a dua we say, إِلَيْكَ نَحْفِد. When you're talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that you are serving him. Oh my God. So does the hafada mean servants? Well, let me tell you, yahfid, the root verb, is about being quick on your feet, light-footed, and in service. You are in light-footed service. It's not that you're in heavy service. You are up there and you are eagerly serving. So the hafid or the hafida, your hafada, your grandkids are your light-footed servants. That's what it means. That's what it means. If you're a grandma or a grandpa, ask for ask for your rights from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have hafada, they are your light-footed servants. And actually you will notice that they are. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us when we have older parents, to be near them, that to have them indak, even with you, even at your home, if you can, so that they can be served by the grandchildren. You're not going to serve them as much as the grandchildren and get me this and do this for me and bring this. And you know what, being, at their beck and call, as they say. They will ask their grandchildren, but of course you have to raise your children, their grandchildren, to be of service to their grandparents. You cannot do that unless you show humility to your parents. You have to show them humility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Isra 17:24, اخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة. So it is, look, it's very important to understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not ask us to show humility to anybody. There's no dhul. Dhul has to do with humility as in humiliation. Dhul is not in humility as in being humble. It is more than that. Dhul. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told children to lower to them جناح الذل من الرحمة. You have rahma, you have compassion. You have the rahma, the compassion. But you have of that rahma a wing called ذل من الرحمة, meaning that out of my rahma, I will lower to them the wing of humility. So it is something we should do to our parents. واخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة وقل رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. You have to say رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. I would say that in my prayer. I would say that after each prayer. It is so important. Allah says قل say it and do it. Do it and say it. اخفض لهما جناح الذل من. Don't answer them back, even if you feel you have the right to, because they said something wrong. اخفض لهما, you don't have the right. اخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. An early Islamic scholar, Sa'd ibn Musayyib, was asked about the meaning of this verse. Address them in terms of honor. قل لهما قولا كريما. He said it means address them as a servant addresses his master. Muhammad ibn Sirin another scholar, used to speak very softly to his mother out of respect, and he was also often seen in the company of his mother and looking after her. So these are our predecessors. They showed us how to behave to mothers. Sounds have meanings. And Ibn Jinni, one of our very famous scholars, he died in the year 1002. He wrote a book called Al-Khasa'is. He put all the meanings of the sounds, and sounds have meanings. What's the meaning of mama? Two sounds, ma and ah. So here they are. I'm not going to stop here for long. So ah means return, because it's the only sound that will echo if you say it. Ah, all other sounds won't echo. And the ma, I'm going down to the ma right here, means to gather, to collect, to bring together. So when a child says mama, what is the child doing? All children say mama. They're not taught. They just say it. What they're saying is meaning come, gather, collect, bring together. That's the meaning of the sound ma. And the sound ah means return. It's the sound of echoing, coming back. It's return and bring back. And those meanings which he left us in his book Al-Khasa'is, if you look at them, you will notice that most of them are in the Arabic language, because the Arabic language, I think, Wallahu A'lam, is a divinely inspired language, and it's the language of Ahl al-Jannah, Wallahu A'lam, and it goes back to the first sounds which humans made to indicate anything. And it's in our DNA. It's natural, instinctive with us. Mama. And then she comes and she gathers the baby to her. Many of you will remember this hadith. By the way, this hadith is one which was very impactful upon me. I did not grow up learning about Islam. I grew up traveling the world with my diplomatic parents. But then when I started learning about Islam in my 20s, subhanAllah, this hadith impacted me. And many of you will remember this hadith of the three men who, because of a storm, had to go to a cave, and because of the storm and the rain, a rock tumbled down and closed the door to the cave. And if you remember, each one of those three men called unto God, saying, Ya Allah. And they started mentioning one deed. If you know that I did this deed out of love for you and out of sincerity, then help us get out of this cave. And each one of them recalled in his past something he had done out of love of God and out of sincerity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with each person opened the cave, the rock budged a little bit when the first person spoke, and a little bit more when the second person spoke, and a little bit more when the third person spoke. Now, one of these people, those three men, spoke about a woman and about how he, at the last moment, was about to have intercourse with her and how he did not do that because of love of God and fear of God and wanting to do the right thing and sincerity to God. She told him, Ittaqillah. Just that word made him stop. And the rock budged a little bit, but not enough for them to get out. And then the other man said, another of those men said that somebody gave him an animal to keep as an amana, and that animal, he kept it as an amana, but then that animal, he let it bear child, and that animal, from that animal, there was a whole herd of animals. And then when that person came back and told him, may I have my amana back, my animal back? He told him, look at that whole herd is yours. And he didn't have to do that. He could have just given him the animal back. And he said, if you bear witness that I did this out of love of you and out of my iman and out of my sincerity and then open the way for us to get out of this cave. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened it and a little bit more. And the one which I'm talking about, I left it till the last, even though it was actually the first. There's a man who said that he would milk the cow and then he would bring, or the animal, and he would bring milk to his parents every night. And that there was one night when he was late. I don't know why he couldn't. And then his parents, and he would give his parents before his children, before himself. And he came late and found his parents asleep. And he could not give them the milk because they were asleep. He didn't want to wake them up. So he stood by their bedside until they woke up. And then he gave them the milk. And of course, they woke up probably the next morning. He gave them the milk. And he said, if you know that I did that out of love for you and out of sincerity, then open the rock for us. And the rock was open. And the whole thing I'm telling you is to tell you that hadith, that part of the hadith, made me aware how important it is to take care of older parents, especially before your own children. Before your own children, that hadith, that he would give them the milk before he gave his children, gave himself. And he stood by their bedside until he was able to give them the milk. That hadith gave me that feeling and made me feel how important it is to take care of our elderly parents before anybody else. Your parents, when they're young, they don't need you. But when they start needing you, take care of them before you take care of anybody else, even your own children. May Allah make us abna barreen. May Allah give us the ability to have bir to our parents, to be forthcoming, because they have bir towards us. As I said, your mother has bir without needing to learn bir. Your mother has shukar to you without needing to learn shukar. But you need to learn shukar. You need to learn bir. Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu saw a Yemeni man performing tawaf around the Kaaba while carrying his mother on his back. And this man said to Abdullah bin Umar, I am like a submissive mount for her. If her mount were to spook, I won't spook. So why was he putting his mother on his back? He was afraid that if the mount will spook, seeing a snake, seeing something, and then his mother would fall off. So he said, I'm her submissive mount. Let her be on my back. And then he asked, do you think I have repaid her, O Ibn Umar? And Abdullah bin Umar said, no, not even one heaving breath. Wala zafra. Zafra is the zafir. Not even one heaving breath. So with that, we conclude today and we say that the Quran is but a reminder. كلا إنها تذكرة فمن شاء ذكره. The Quran is but a reminder, therefore let whoever wills to remember do so. But it is a reminder only if we receive it and only if we are impacted by it and reminded by it. May we be so. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ هَذِهِ أُمَّتُكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. This community nation of yours is a single community nation. And look at the word here. So you have the word relating to ummah. You have the word relating to al-Qura. You have the word relating to al-Kitab. You have the word relating to the word ummi. The word comes in everything, but we don't have the time today to talk about that. Maybe inshallah one day we will. It's so important to know what the is. And if you have an take care of your If you are an teach your children to take care of you. And if you are an aunt, aunt, that's the same as as the Prophet, peace upon him, said. Somebody told him that I had committed a sin, and how can I expiate for my sin? And the Prophet, peace upon him, told him, do you have an هل لك He said no. He said, هل لك خالة? Do you have an aunt? He said yes. He said, فَلْزَمْهَا. Go stay with your aunt and take care of her. That way you can expiate your sins. So what I'm trying to say here is, take care of your take care of your aunt, take care of your ulul arham. All of these who have rahim are most important to you. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala call them ulul arham? Because if you have a cousin a male cousin and a female cousin, take care of your female cousin. If you have whoever is related to you, male and female, take care of the female first. That's why the aunt is before the uncle, and the female cousin before the male cousin, and the grandmother before the grandfather, and the mom before the dad. And by the way, your sister before your brother, and daughters before sons. If she has a rahim, take care of her first. So this was a personal attempt at tadabbur. What does the meaning of tadabbur? Is to painstakingly pursue each word to its conclusion through definition and context, highlighting important points while recovering meaning.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين